Hi everybody, Larry Graves here, along with my cat Jinx. And by the way, I do have two cats, but Biddens very rarely sits there. Now, I don't know, I'm just gonna tell a story. Hopefully you enjoy it. And this is about my very first real job. Well, my first job lasted not even a day. I was an apple picker, and I was, I think, 17. I went with a friend who'd been picking apples, in the summer, and got decent money back then. And so I thought I would try it, but I was kind of lazy too. Anyway, at the time, I had a fear of heights, and so I didn't actually go up the trees to pick the apples. I just picked the grounders, and I was fired. But my first real job was in I believe it was 1970. When did that start? 1977. So I was 19. And it was at Belleville General Hospital, a good-sized hospital, which is 10 miles from where I live now in Trenton. And it was with a company called Barnes Security. And here's a picture of me as a security guard for Belleville General Hospital. And I will always remember my very first shift on the job. I was making my rounds, and there's an outside, it's, I don't know how you explain it, it's a courtyard, I guess, inside the hospital. Open space. And for some reason, I opened the door. This was, I think it was on the evening. I was on the night shift. Yeah. I opened the door and I went out there and I got locked. I was locked out. I was trapped in the courtyard. And I had a walkie-talkie, so I had to call the switchboard operator, and then somebody came and got me. So it was a little embarrassing. And the main things I remember about being a security guard is I was so shy. I couldn't even really talk to strangers. I'm fine talking to people now, but back then I wasn't. I was kind of nervous and nerdy. And what we would do every night is, one thing I had to do was every hour I had to call this security thing to make sure I was okay. And I'd say the very same thing every hour. Larry Graves here, blah, blah, blah. Okay, thanks, Larry. That got a little monotonous after, because I was a security guard for almost 3 years there. But I wasn't the best security guard, and here are some reasons why. For instance, they had a cafeteria there, and in the back of the cafeteria, of course, the kitchen, and they had these big, good-sized containers of ice cream, different flavors. And they also had yogurts. Beatrice yogurt is what it was. And so this would be at night, so there wouldn't be that many staff going into the cafeteria, so the lights were usually off or dimmed in the cafeteria. And I had a key for I think I had a key for the kitchen or the cafeteria or whatever. And so I would go into the kitchen, and if I was walking into the kitchen. If somebody was in the cafeteria, they could see me. So I would crawl into the kitchen, grab a small bowl, and scoop up some ice cream and have some ice cream. And I also used to be good friends with the switchboard operator, Olivia. I think her name was Olivia. Olive is what I would call her, or maybe that was her name. And her and I just got along great. I'll always remember her. And it got to the point where I told her I was taking some of the yogurts and eating them. And that's the first time, I got addicted to yogurt, because the first time I tried it, it was like, ugh. But, you know, you get used to the taste, and I just loved it after that, especially strawberry. So I used to steal the little yogurt things for the switchboard operator, so she didn't mind. And so, but that was about it. It wasn't. There was this huge boardroom where the directors would be. I had a key for that. And I don't know why, but in some of my rounds there, I would go in there, sit at the head of the table, put my feet on the table in really nice, comfortable chairs, and I'd sit there for 20 minutes or so and maybe act like I was the director of the hospital and maybe do a little comedy routine. I don't know. There was this woman who worked in admitting. So I was, like I said, maybe 17, 18, and she might be in her early 20s, and I was infatuated with her. And I remember one time she must have been on holidays or something. And I don't know how I got her number, but I ended up calling her for a date. And her mom answered the phone. And I asked her mom if she had a boyfriend. And her mom said something like, I'm not going to say, it's none of your business, blah, blah, blah. So that was just not the way to ask for a woman on a date. And then I think I did ask her in person, and she said no, she had a boyfriend. I was a real smooth talker back then, just like I am now. There was a steam plant. I still don't understand what they did there, but they had these big, I don't know if they were computers or whatever, and there were older men there. And I used to get along with, I think there were 3 of them on rotating shifts. I used to get along with all 3 of them, especially this one older man. I'd go into his office, put my feet up on the desk, and he liked me. I know he really liked me, and we had some good laughs, I guess. But he was on the quiet side. But anyway, this other older gentleman, one time I came in and I saw him, and I thought I'd be funny, and I snuck around this machine or whatever, and I scared him. I said, boo, or whatever I did. And you don't do that to an older person. Anyway, he didn't laugh, and he was mad. And so it got awkward from then on, because I'd go into the steam plant to do my check, and we didn't speak to each other because I knew he was mad at me. I'm not even sure if I apologized. Maybe I did, or maybe I was too scared to apologize. And there was a separate building, I forget the name of it now, where they trained the new nurses. I forget whatever you call it. But, you know, they're young girls being trained. And I remember one time I had no self-confidence at all. I didn't think I was ugly, but I didn't think I was good looking either. I just, no confidence. And I remember once being in an elevator, and these two girls came in, and they were just, they were, oh my God, and I was, tall even back then. I was 6'3", and they're looking up at me. Oh my God, so handsome. Oh, so cute. And it's like, oh my God, I felt for a couple of days, and then I went back to having no confidence. But that was nice. Now, what else can I talk about? I had there was this one nurse on level 3, and I would have to do my rounds every 2 hours or something. I had this clock and a key, and you'd go to each of these stations, and it would show that you were there, and you'd put the key in, and it would go on this piece of paper. And I'd have to pass by her station, and I was just so shy, but at the same time, it's like I liked this older woman. She was probably in her late 20s, early 30s. But, my face would go beet red sometimes when I'd pass her by. And it got to the point where I stopped doing my rounds because I was just so shy. So I did not do my job properly. And this went on for quite a few weeks until the boss finally looked at the piece of paper inside the, whatever it's called, the device. And of course there's no checks being done, and so I had a talking to. I thought I was going to be fired, but they didn't fire me, and they should have, really. And I know another one of these security guards that used to like me. When he found out about that, he basically told me off, and I don't blame him, but at the same time, I never liked the guy anyway. I still remember his name, too. Hi, Les Williams, how are you? And then there was another security guard. I remember his name, too, Bill Penn. Super nice guy. Really, really nice. Really, there would be these paintings on the wall of the hospital, and he was so particular about being, unlike me, a good security guard. He used to count the paintings to make sure they were there on each of the floors. That's a little overkill for me, but he had, when I would try and be funny with him, we'd be sitting at the desk there. We're right in emerge and admitting. We had our very own desk. And I'd say something funny, and he'd say, oh, humor. Had to go. The one thing I really hated about when I used to do my rounds, and I did them for quite a while before I stopped doing them, I had to go down to the bottom floor where the morgue was. Luckily, I didn't have to go into the morgue, but that was always a bit creepy. And then there is this other nurse, Mary Lou. She, I believe she was on floor 6, and I used to pass her by and kind of, I would notice some of these young nurses. Well, they're older than me. They were older than me, but still I would notice them, and I liked her smile. She always seemed kind of bubbly and happy. And I would talk to the switchboard operator about my liking her and all that. Oh, ask her out. Yeah. I actually went up to the desk. There were times I got brave, and I talked to her. No, I talked to her, and I ended up asking her out. And it's not that we ever really dated or anything, but we became friends. and so I knew her for a couple of years, and then we kind of drifted apart, and I met my first wife, Nancy, and so I didn't see her again for quite a few years. It was about 3 years ago I saw that she was on Facebook. I'd seen her that she was on Facebook before, but I was married and she was married, so. But I saw her on Facebook about 3 years ago, and I friended her, and we met up for the first time in over 35 years. And I'll always remember, I told this story to Mary Lou on our first date, when we went up, and I told the story to Mary Lou when we had dinner together about this one time I used to share an apartment with my sister Janet, who sadly passed away in the 90s. And one time my sister couldn't pay her part of the rent because her boyfriend, she gave the money to her boyfriend or whatever, which really made me mad. So I was telling Mary Lou about this, not expecting or even thinking of borrowing any money from her. She drove to her bank and said, "I'll lend you the money." So she did. And of course I did pay her back, but I always remember that, you know, her kindness with that. So I paid for her dinner. Kind of guy I am. And then for my birthday last year in 2016, went out to dinner with her again with my son Michael and his wife Karen. And I'm going to see her this Friday for the third time in 3 years. That's right. She might not want to see me now, though, that she found out I was a thief at Belleville General Hospital. One other memory, as I said, I didn't have any confidence back then. And one time I was doing my rounds, or maybe I was talking to the switchboard operator, and this other woman that worked there just said, "You have really thin arms." I do. Right there, really thin. And so I focused, when I was doing my rounds, I focused on my arms, and oh my God, I have thin arms, and everybody is looking at my thin arms. It's just, you know, body image, the way people think, and of course nobody, in reality, nobody really cares or actually notices except for that one woman. But that bugged me for a little bit. So, you know, just be careful what you say to people because it can affect them, especially young people. You have a flea collar. You don't have fleas. Stop it. They actually did have fleas a couple of years ago because I live in an apartment building, and other apartments, of course, have dogs or cats, and somehow I brought a flea in here, and so they had fleas. That wasn't fun. Maybe I have fleas. So that's it. That's my exciting life as the world's worst security guard. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.